Excellent.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this live webinar that has been organized as part of National Career Week. In today's webinar, we're going to talk about how to find work experience. And joining us today is Samuel Conley, Outreach Manager at Creative Mentor Network. Today, Samuel is going to talk about how to decide what career paths you are interested in, where to look, getting in touch with an employer, the do's and don'ts of looking for work experience, and finally the making the call moment. And please feel free to ask questions so that we can get the most of Samuel's time. You can do this through the chat function on Teams or unmute yourself at the end of the presentation. Great.
Awesome.
Over
Thank
to
you.
you, Samuel.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and it's great to be here today. So I'm looking forward to sharing some of the tips that we have at Creative Mentor Network about getting particularly into the creative industries, but there are also tips, as you'll see, that can kind of be used for any application to any type of work experience role. So as Stefania kindly said, please get involved in the conversation throughout the next 45 minutes. I'm happy to answer questions as they come up and make this tailored towards the students that are in here today. So let's start off with our presentation today. Let me know if you can see it.
Yes, Samuel, I can see it.
Perfect. Great. So thank you for joining today. So we are Creative Mentor Network. So I'll tell you a little bit more about what we do later, but essentially we're a charity and our mission is to make the creative world of work more inclusive. So it's great to be here today with you. This session is called How to Find Work Experience. I'll give you a little overview of what we're covering. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Creative Mentor Network as a charity and what we do. I think it's very relevant to this session and to some of the things and questions that some of the students may have. We're going to be looking at what career path you might be interested in. That's often sometimes the hardest thing to work out is actually what do I want to do in the first instance. After that, we can look at where to look. Where do you actually find work placements and how can you choose who to apply to? We'll then be looking at getting in touch, so the do's and don'ts. What are the standards of communication? What's it like to actually talk to an employer and what can you do to try and secure your place? We're going to look at making the call. So we're going to actually, calling the employers and, how that is and, what the standards of that are and to give you the best chance possible at getting the placement. We're going to look at mentorship because we are a charity that offers mentorship. We will look at mentorship as well as a way to get work experience. I'll tell you a little bit about our programs at the end, and then I'll tell you how to apply to the programs as well if that's something that you're interested in. It all ties in together, and hopefully, there's some really good tips here today to help you get that work experience placement that you want. So we're going to start off quickly with looking at the creative sector itself. This session today is, as I said, primarily focused towards the creative industries. So before we start, I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page about what the creative industries actually are. So there are 13 different parts of the creative sector in the UK. These are advertising and marketing, architecture, crafts, design, so product design, graphic design and fashion, film, TV, radio and photography, IT, software and computer services, i.e. creative tech, publishing, museums, galleries and libraries, music, so performing and visual arts, animation and VFX, video games, and heritage, so things like the National Trust and the people who kind of do listings and old buildings. So hopefully you can see from that it's actually quite a wide range of jobs there. I think often when we speak to young people at schools and colleges, they actually are surprised at what is actually considered as a creative job. So those are all the areas that we are talking about today. So hopefully there's something in there that you do find of interest and something that is relevant to the students who are watching this today. A bit of a glance. So pre-pandemic, the creative industries were worth 115.9 billion of gross value to the UK economy. So that's 13.2 million pounds an hour and 5.6% higher than the previous year. So that's just a little insight into how much these industries are worth to the economy. There's a really cool website called thecreativeindustries.co.uk where there's loads of facts and figures about the industries themselves, and you can kind of find out what the current trends are and have a little bit of oversight into why it's such a great set of industries to get into. So we are a charity, as I said, to try and help make the creative industries more inclusive. So what we do is we actually do mentoring programs, which I'll talk about at the end. And those pair young people with professionals who are trained to provide guidance and also to share insights into the industry that they work in. So we're going to cover, as I said, getting work experience today. And firstly, finding your own work placement can be a good experience. So, it means you have more choice and control over where you go, and it's a chance to show off your organizational skills. So it's okay if you don't have any ideas about what you want to do yet. We're going to show you how to get started. So the reason I put that there is I do know that some schools and colleges do offer kind of pre-planned work placements, and though those can sometimes be good, you'll find that actually it may not be the most relevant to you. I remember doing work experience at school when I was in year 11, and the stuff that we were offered was things like kind of retail and boots, and I remember there was Pizza Hut and things like that. Now, obviously, there's nothing wrong with doing work experience in those environments. They are great places to learn how the world of work runs, especially if you're interested in retail. But if you're someone who's creative, if there's someone who wants to do something else, those places might not be the most enjoyable or most relevant to what you want to do. So I'm here to encourage you to actually maybe step outside the box a little bit and to try and find your own placement. So we're going to be covering how you can actually do that today. So step one is to make a list. So the first thing you want to do is literally grab a piece of paper and a pen and just make a list of things that you're interested in. So think about your interests, think about the subjects you most enjoy at college, but also the things that you want to build skills in. So, I'd recommend, writing between 5 to 10 things. And, there's some examples that I've got here of things that you might be interested in. So, for example, photography, you might be someone who owns a camera and wants to learn more about that world. And it's interesting to start to think as well about the actual, sub areas of what being interested in photography could mean for work experience. So, for photography, you could think of, who are local photographers. You could think of, the news. You could think of fashion. You could think of portrait photography, nature photography. You could think of, going into a place that does processing of film. So kind of break down, what your interests are, and you can actually start to break down the areas that you might actually be interested in the working world to join and learn a little bit. Another example might be music. So if you're someone who enjoys making music or listening to music, or has a general interest in the music industry, you can start to look at, what might that actually mean in the working world? Things like record labels, studios, venues, magazines, management companies. So as you can see, just from one interest and one small thing that you might write down, you can already start to break that up and find different areas of types of jobs that you might want to apply to. If you're interested in film, for example, you don't have to stop at being a director. There's the makeup part of the film industry, there's editing, there's production companies, there's post-production companies, there's cinemas, there's location scouts, there's costume design. So there's so many different things that you can do even from just these three interests. And I'm sure that there's other interests in here, and I'm sure that you can, think about what your own interests might be and help to break those down. But, an easy way to do this is actually just to go on Google as well. If you type in jobs in photography, you can actually find, loads of ideas about what types of jobs might be available. So, as I said, first thing to do is make a list on a piece of paper, and, that kind of breaks the ice and helps you to start to develop an idea about what you might want to do. Once you've done that, and once you've kind of, broken your list into different areas, you can actually start your search. So now you've got a list of the type of placements you might want. It's time to find one. So remember that you won't be the only student looking for a work placement. So other people in your year group at school will be doing it. Other people in your local area will be doing it. And, it can be quite competitive. So the more organized you are, the better. Also, the earlier you are, the better. So I'm not sure about, when you might be expected to find work placements in here, but, it's really good if you've joined the session today, because it means that you obviously care and you obviously are thinking ahead. So I want to congratulate you all on that. The earlier that you start, the better, because it gives you more time to, kind of have conversations and to start to do your own research. So there's some tips that I want to talk you through. So for example, once you have your list, the first thing you might want to do is if someone in your family works somewhere interested, you can ask them if they'll contact their own human resources department. So if you are lucky enough to have someone who works in a similar industry to the thing that you might want to do, that's always a really great first point of contact to ask them to actually connect to you. Obviously, that might be not the case, but in the case that you are lucky with that, then family is always a great place to ask, and also parents, carers, guardians. They will be the people that might know others and have friends as well who might be able to help you out. So always worth immediately asking the people that you live with, because they're your first point of contact. Then after that, you might want to ask neighbors. So you might want to think about family, friends, neighbors, and other people kind of in your realm that might consider you for work placement as well. So I've worked with plenty of young people over the years, and some of the best work placements have actually sometimes been from like a neighbor. They might have a neighbor that works in the film industry, and they've knocked on the door and they've asked, and actually that person's been really helpful to actually connect them up with the right people. So don't be afraid to ask the people that are actually around you already, because I think sometimes we overlook those people, and actually those can be the people that can sometimes really get you an in to the place that you want to get into. So following that, so once you've kind of asked the immediate people around you, obviously this does include people at school, so it includes your careers advisors, it includes tutors, teachers, and also friends and peers at school. You then might want to think about organizations. So for example, if you're interested in music, you might really, really, really want to go work at Sony Music, because you might love that label, you might love the artists that are on the label, and you might be very, very keen to join that particular organization. So what you can do in this case, that you can actually just do a web search for their contact details. If you have a really good idea of where you want to work, and you've kind of very focused and fixated on that, you can usually find some sort of contact information and email online to get in touch with. It's really important to keep these details organized. We all have our own ways of organizing information. I personally recommend to create a spreadsheet where you can put in the name of the company, you can put in the name of your contact, you can put in phone numbers, you can put in notes, you can put in emails. So I really recommend that you do that. Give yourself some way to keep keep track of the conversations that you're having, because sometimes to find the best work experience placement, we might have to talk to quite a lot of different people. And I think that you want to make sure that you're on top of it, and what you're doing, and who you're currently talking to and where you're at with it. So please, keep organized. I think that's very important. And then if you don't know any other organizations in the area, you can find employers by these websites. So two really good ways, notes that you can take down now, places to look, are Yale.com and also ThompsonLocal.com. So both these websites, you can kind of, pretty much just put in you can go ahead and put in some sort of word or kind of key phrase, like photography or dance or theatre or whatever you're interested in, and they'll actually show you local companies, and sometimes companies as well that are a bit further away that do the thing that you want to do. So that's a really good directory, those two companies, to actually start to make a list of what you can do. It also comes back to what we spoke about at the beginning when I said that you can make a list of the areas of interest that you have, and then you can break these down into kind of sub-genres and sub-jobs. If you don't know the jobs that are involved in photography, if you type in photography to one of these websites, you'll start to see like loads of different businesses that are related to that thing. So, these are really good places to find companies and to find options for yourself. You just type in the postcode, you type in the kind of company you're looking for or the interest that you have, and then that will give you, should give you pages and pages worth of stuff to look at. So I highly recommend taking a note of those. The tip I have is that, we do live in London. It's actually one of the best places in the world to get work experience. Everyone across the country's got work experience, and some people, live in quite remote places. They might not have, all these amazing agencies and companies and different types of brands and things that we have, and stores and stuff that we have in London. So, as we are all Londoners and we do have all these amazing companies, sometimes think about who you might pass on your way to work, on your way to school, for example. So you might, go past loads of businesses that you might have never paid attention to before. And then when you actually might, look in through the window or have a look at what they do, you actually might be surprised at some of the companies that you walk past daily. So, a good example for this is Central London. If you go around Soho, for example, and just, have a look in the windows as you walk around, you'll start to see that there's loads of actually creative agencies and loads of different types of companies that are based there. Another good one is Camden, for example. Loads of different creative agencies and music industry businesses and photography businesses and things in Camden. So think of the areas around London that you actually frequent and walk through, and use those to your advantage. Gather data. Also, if you're brave enough, why not go in and actually speak to them? And why not go in and actually say hi and introduce yourself and tell them what you're doing? Another tip is, be willing to travel to other areas. So as long as it's not too far or not too expensive to get there, if you are looking London-wide sort of thing, you have much more choice and you have much more opportunities open to you. So, depending on where you live, it might not be the best for the places that you have your interest in. So if you're interested in music, for example, your local area, probably won't have record labels and things in it, but other places in London will. So I would say to be open to travel and be open to, catching a tube or a bus somewhere else, because it will really open up your options and really help you out. So step 3 is getting in touch. So once you have a list of companies, so you've got your organized list, as I said, you've got the companies that you're interested in, the next step is that you want to contact them. Now, I know this can be something that a lot of young people and adults, get anxious about. It is quite hard sometimes, especially if you're doing it for the first time, to contact a company and to speak to them. And I completely empathize with that, and I think it's a very normal thing, and you shouldn't let it put you off. So I'm going to give you some tips about how you can actually, maybe get around some of that anxiety and how you can help yourself out to make that contact. So you've got your list, you've gone online and you've done your Googling and you found the email addresses or the numbers that you need to contact. So what you're going to do next is, if the company is small and in a local area, you can actually go in and speak to them. That's a really, really good way to actually, show your confidence and to, show your interest. If you actually go into the reception and talk to them, it won't always work, but sometimes, especially smaller companies, they will often be happy to talk to you. So if you go in and you say to them, I'm a college student, I am interested in this, and I walk past here all the time and I'm really interested in what you do. Can I do work experience here? You'll be surprised at how many yeses you might get. And if not, if they can't do it there, you'll be surprised at how sometimes they'll help you out for that. Because they'll be really impressed and they'll be really happy that you have kind of chosen them and are interested in what they do. I do apologize, by the way, if there's lots of noise in the background. It's because my office can sometimes get a bit loud, so please bear with me with that. So larger companies, so for example, if it's not a local company, if it's more of a business that has a lot of different branches, then they usually would require you to do maybe a cover letter and a CV. So probably you have to ring the company or sometimes email them to ask who organizes work experience. When I'm talking about this, I'm talking about the much larger organizations, and they will usually have someone in human resources or someone who specifically does work experience. So the first thing you can do is give them an email or call and just ask that question, and then they'll put you through to the right person, and then you've got your contact. Some larger companies put this information on their website, so always worth having a little bit of a Google and looking at that. And then once you have the person that you speak to, it's now time to actually make the call and to introduce yourself. So lots of young people and adults, as I said, do find it scary to call an employer. It's someone new, it's someone that you've never met before, and it's someone who you're not sure what they're going to be like. So it can be a bit of a daunting experience, which is completely understandable. Even adults get nervous phoning new companies. Adults who are going for new jobs, it's very normal to go through that process of feeling nervous beforehand and before you do. So I just wanted to remind you, the more you do it, the easier it will be. Once you do it a few times, you'll start to soon wonder what you were worried about. Sometimes when we do find a work experience, it will take a little while for us to find the placement. We might have to go through a few different providers and talk to a few different people. So the more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to be, and the more you'll get a script of what you should say and what kind of questions they're going to ask. So there's some tips that might help you do this. So firstly, I want you to sort of think about what you want to say before you make the call. So planning is everything. Even if you just have a kind of a little session where you sit down and write a few questions, or even if you kind of ask yourself a few questions beforehand, it's really important to think about what you want to say. And it will probably go along the lines of, my name is X, I am interested in doing work experience with your company, I am this age, and I go to this college. That's usually a good way to start. many companies, are quite used to having work experience people call them, and it probably won't be new to them. So they'll either sometimes they'll give you a straight answer and say, unfortunately, we don't do work experience, and then you can cross them off the list. And then other times they'll say, actually, you need to email this person or you need to call this person, and then at least you've got kind of a bit closer to what you want to get to, and who the right person to speak to is. So once you do have your script or you do have some ideas, it's really helpful to write it on a piece of paper and keep it in front of you. So, when you're doing your first calls and you don't quite know what you're going to say yet, and you might feel a bit anxious and nervous, if you have a piece of paper in front of you, or, some notes on your phone while you're doing it, that is a really good way to kind of prompt yourself to ask the right questions to make sure you don't forget anything. And have a pen and paper ready to take down any names or notes. So, it's quite often that they might message you and say, or they might reply and say, actually, can you email this person, tell them your name, your age, and et cetera, et cetera. So please make sure you have a pen and paper ready to take those down, because you want to make sure that you're not going to miss that opportunity and miss the contact that they tell you, or forget it or get it wrong. So some tips. So take a deep breath and relax before dialing the number. That's a simple method that you can kind of employ to take a bit of the edge off. Make sure that you are being kind to yourself. Take a big deep breath. Make sure you're somewhere comfortable, somewhere quiet, and somewhere that you aren't going to be, no one's going to walk in or no one's going to disturb you while you're making the call. And just psych yourself up a little bit and remind yourself that you can do it. And even if you do feel a bit nervous, that's completely normal, and it's part of the process. Always be polite and try to speak clearly. One thing I will say is sometimes, they will take your number down and they will want to call you back. Please make sure that when they do call you, you're polite. I know that sometimes, if a random number calls you, or, it's one that you don't know, it's kind of easy to pick it up and, to not necessarily be the kindest or the most polite to that person because you don't know who they are. But, that's not really a good way to introduce yourself to the employer if they do call you back. So when you are doing work experience calls particularly, make sure that when you are getting phone or calls from random numbers, at least be polite when you speak to them. Just say hi. This is my name. This is my phone. Can I ask who's calling, please? And then that makes sure that you're not going to be accidentally rude to anyone who calls. I've seen it happen before. I've seen young people, unfortunately, make a mistake where a number calls that they don't recognize. They pick it up and they're really rude to that person because they think it's going to be someone who's trying to prank call them or something. And actually, unfortunately, it's an employer, and it's really awkward. And that person is probably not going to want to bring you on for work experience if that's the first impression that you give. So that's something to bear in mind. Start by introducing yourself. Give your name. It's always helpful to say your college or school as well, to explain you're in education and you have to do work experience as part of your course, and that you'd really be interested in doing it with that company. Be prepared to say why you're interested in a placement with that employer. So, it might be worth writing down a few notes about why you've called them. Especially if you're looking for yourself, there's going to be a reason that you've chosen that particular company, and it's worth kind of writing down a few of those reasons. So when they do ask, what makes you call us, you can say, I really like this work that you did. I really like this film that you made. I really like this artist that you work with. You're always going to get extra brownie points for doing stuff like that, because it shows that you know what you want. It shows that you have intention in what you're doing, and it shows that you are proactive as well about doing a bit of research beforehand in terms of what they offer. That can sometimes be the make or break in terms of who they choose. And say what interests you about the company and the kind of work they do. So, as I said, it is competitive, and especially some of the creative companies will probably get loads of people trying to do work experience. They're always going to want to choose the person who knows what they do. So, if you do throw in a little bit about the artists that they work with, or just what work they do as a company, that really, really does give a good impression, and it shows that you are already invested in what they're doing, and you're the type of person that might be of real value to what they do. So I would recommend to do a bit of research beforehand. And don't be discouraged by employers saying no. It's really normal. It's super competitive sometimes, especially for some of the more popular kind of agencies and creative companies out there. So if they say no, they say no. You've called and you've done a good thing by trying to ask the question. It's nothing personal. it's usually just to do with the fact that they get so many applications that they can't help everyone, or sometimes they just don't offer work experience. Sometimes it's, many employers unfortunately don't have a system to do work experience. So, it's nothing to do with you often, it's to do with more the company that they run themselves. So, don't take it personally, and, be consistent, keep going. Some more tips. So if you're really nervous, if you really feel that you're going to find it difficult, if you can't get your words out, which is, sometimes that can happen on the first time round, don't beat yourself up about it. Don't let it put you off. You can always ask, a guardian or a teacher to be with you when you make your first phone call. So I'm sure, your careers as teachers, or I'm sure, people around you, your carers and guardians and things, I'm sure they'll be happy to help you out. Most adults, if not all, have done this type of phone call in the past, and they'll know, it can be daunting to do it the first time. So sometimes it's really nice to have someone, with you. You can put it on loudspeaker, when you're with them, and sometimes it's really nice to have that person with you because they can actually help you answer questions as well. So, don't feel afraid to ask others to get involved in what you're doing. And also, practice makes perfect. So when you do it the first time, you're not necessarily going to get it always right. You might forget to ask a question, or you might stumble on your words a bit or something like that. Just remember that it's not the end of the world. Practice does make perfect. The more of these calls that you do, the more it's going to become second nature to you. So if you do choose a few companies that you want to get involved in, and if you call 5 different companies, by the 5th one, you're going to have a much better understanding of how these conversations go, and that's really going to help you for the future. So even if you don't actually get those placements, like, you've already gained something by just calling them and having those conversations, because you have got a better understanding about what type of questions they're going to ask when you get in touch with them. So, even just making the call is a really positive step forward. So if they ask for a CV, so if an employer asks for a CV or a cover letter, I would say always say yes, even if you don't have one prepared, or even if you don't think yours is up to scratch. I think it's always better just to say yes, and then find someone who can help you create one. You're lucky to have great careers service at your school and your college, so utilize them. I'm sure they'll be happy to help you update your CV, or they'll have examples or templates for you. It could be your careers advisor, it could be your form tutor at your college that might help you. There's also so many examples online now of loads of different types of CVs. If you just type in CV example, creative industry, for example, there'll be loads of different documents you can download that will give you a template. So I tend to say it's always better to say yes for a CV and a cover letter, and then go and make it. You can do it in an afternoon. Even if you're doing it from scratch, you can actually put something together in a couple hours that can be usually be very professional. So I'd recommend to don't let that put you off if you haven't got your CV up to date. You can always go back afterwards and change it and put it forward for them. A cover letter as well, something that some of you may not have written before. A cover letter is essentially an explanation about why you are applying to the role. So you'd issue your CV, which is got all your past experience on. So if you've done any volunteering or any type of work before, it's also got all your grades from the past as well. Cover letter is more of an in-depth explanation about why you've gone for that particular role. So you might be a bit more personal. You might want to talk a little bit about why you respect the company, about what your skills are now and where you're at and why it fits together well. So it's always good to practice to submit those things if they ask, and also to have them ready. Once you make it once, that can usually be submitted to multiple companies. So have it ready for when you do need it. So that kind of covers my tips. So I'll just close this quickly for a second, and I wanted to actually ask if there's any questions at this stage. If there's not, that's all good. Obviously, we'll be open to questions at the end, or following this as well. We're happy to take questions via email and stuff. So I'm going to talk a little bit about mentorship now. So this is actually a way into work as well. You've got those tips that I've given you, and you can obviously watch back through and take some of those notes down afterwards. But another really good way to get into work experience is actually through mentorship. And I'll give you a little explanation about what that is and how it works. So mentoring, the dictionary definition, is to advise or train someone. So especially a younger colleague, it's a senior person helping someone else out with wisdom, tips, advice, that type of thing. I've got a quote for you. So there's a man called Eric Parslow, who's an author, and he writes a lot about mentorship and its benefits. And he says that mentoring is to support and encourage people to manage their own learning in order that they may maximize their potential, develop their skills, improve their performance, and become the person they want to be. So one thing that I would recommend, whether it's through CMN or whether it's through someone else, is to get a mentor. Get someone who can help you do the things that you want to do and to help you step forward into the industry you want to step forward into. So I'll tell you a little bit about our program. So what we do at CMN is I'll put this on full screen. We partner you with a creative industry professional. So it's someone from one of our creative industry partners. We work with companies like Amazon, Sony Music, Soho House, Meta. We get people from those companies to mentor you and to help you for 16 weeks. So you do goal setting. They'll tell you more about the industry they work in. They'll often invite you to their office. They'll often bring you into what they're doing to show you how it all works. And the programs that we run end with a showcase and a chance to show everyone what you and your mentor have been working on. The reason that I bring this up and the reason I wanted to talk about our programs is because for me, our mentor, I think, is one of the best ways to help find work experience. Because, that way you're not on your own. You've got someone, who understands the industry you're trying to get into to actually give you advice on what you need to do to get a job. So a mentor can help you do things like research job roles, like what we spoke about at the beginning, where you would look at the interest that you have and then look at the different types of roles available. A mentor can actually, provide you that information from their own experience. So they can tell you about job roles that you may have never heard of that you can get involved in. They can help you apply to them. So they can actually, walk you through the application process of helping you get work experience. So they can introduce you to their contacts. So if they have, networks that are already relevant to you or people that, in their own company or other companies that might offer work experience, that's a really helpful way as well. They can help you work on a creative project, help you stand out. So for example, if you are going for a job in photography, they can actually help you get a portfolio together to show your interest in photography and to show what your talent is. And then last but not least, they can help you with CVs and cover letters. So, those are often quite tricky things to get right, especially in the creative industries. You want to make sure that you're putting your work across and you're putting your best self across. So they can actually help you to look at your CV and to judge, the things that they think is good about it and the things that they think you can maybe build on. They can also help you to write cover letters and give you examples of those as well. So, as you can see, having a mentor kind of covers all the bases actually of finding work experience as well. So it's definitely something to think about. Our programs, how they work is you would apply. So I'll show you how to apply at the end. You do an online interview. You'd meet your mentor. You'll do a showcase at the end to show your work, and then you become a graduate. So after you've graduated as well, we kind of add you to all our networks. So you can meet all the other mentees and all the other mentors. That's also another way to find work experience. We kind of have loads of WhatsApp groups of different people in different industries, and you'll be added to those. And often people put in messages about looking for experience in this industry. Can anyone help? And then often lots of people will reply back and say, have you checked this? Have you talked to this person? Have you done this? So it's a really good way to find opportunities and to kind of put yourself out there and try and attract the things that you want to go after. These are some of the companies that we do work with. These are actually good to take notes of as well, of companies that you might want to ask for work experience. They're all companies that, do want to work with young people. They're companies that want to, expand what they're doing and to connect with young people who want to work in those different worlds. So, here's some examples of companies that you might want to contact. So there's a mixture there. You've got art companies and galleries. You've got music labels. You've got things like eBay, retailers. You've got advertising and marketing companies in there. You've got obviously social media. So some of these companies might be a good place to start because they actively do, help young people and try to get young people on board. So some of the opportunities that we have upcoming. So we have Break the Wall. This is our flagship program. So we've got it running 3 times a year at the moment. And this is a mentorship where as long as you're 16 plus, you can apply and you can be matched with a mentor in many different parts of the creative industries. And, they will help you to achieve what you want to achieve. So a good way to go into it, following this conversation might be to apply and to put in, I'm looking for work experience currently, and then we could actually try and find a mentor who can specifically help you to find a work experience placement. We've got one with Soho House as well. So this one's actually 18 plus, so it might be for any year 13s that watch this, that are looking for the next thing to do. This one runs twice a year, and everyone gets a Soho House membership who applies to this. If you don't know what Soho House is, it's basically a private members club, but they're really active in the creative industry. So they've got 11 houses all across London, and you can kind of go there and be part of events and things like that and meet other creatives. So this is one of our most popular programs. We've got our APA program as well. So anyone in here who watches this who is interested in film or animation, production, sound design, music, video editing, we've got a program that actually the deadline's on Tuesday. This one's 18 plus as well, unfortunately, but it's basically really great for people who want to get into the film and TV industry. So hopefully there's some of you in here who would like to apply for that. You can also apply, if you're not 18 yet, and we can, we'll invite you when you turn 18 to interview to get a mentor. And that's on Tuesday, the deadline for that one. So if you are interested in that one, I'd say get in there fast. How do you apply? So you can sign up to a mentoring program by looking at our Instagram page, which is there, so Creative Mentor Network. From the perspective of work experience, I think joining this page and actually following it is actually another really good way to find what's out there. We're always doing interviews with different companies and sharing opportunities on there. So it's a really great place to actually check for internships, work experience placements, and that kind of thing. You can also go directly to our website, which is creativementornetwork.org, and you can apply through there as well. We've also got a jobs board. So this is very relevant to work experience. These are actually all paid roles, so they're all entry-level positions that are paid at London living wage. So if you go onto the website, you can actually see loads of cool positions that are made for kind of students who are just coming out of college or university and going into the creative industry. So this is a really good way to find different companies. Even if you don't want to apply to the actual job, this is a really good way to actually look at different companies that are in the creative industry. So for example, you've got their Kenny Wax Productions. You could actually Google that and have a look at what they do. They do theatre production. So you can actually Google that and have a look and to see if they do work experience. So have a look at the jobs board and look at the companies on there. And that's a really easy way to actually get some ideas about who you might want to apply to. And keep up to date with us. We have Instagram, we have LinkedIn, we have Twitter. We're very active online, and we're here to help basically. We're here to answer questions, and we're here to help young people get into the creative industry. So I do encourage you to connect with us, and ask questions about work experience if you want. If you email us or DM us and ask us about how to get work experience, we might be able to see if there's anything going and put you onto it. So I would recommend that you contact us as well. I think Stefania, you're going to put a code in the chat for feedback.
I will do that later. But students can use the QR code that you've just shown.
Cool. So yeah, if you want to give us a bit of feedback, that'd be really helpful. If you scan that QR code, it's going to take you through to a list. Tell us about how we did, any suggestions that can make these sessions better for you. Obviously it's digital, so the good thing about that is at least you can watch it back and take some of the notes that we spoke about earlier, and you can act on those. So please go ahead and do that. I'll leave that on the screen for 5 seconds or so you can go ahead.
Thank you, Samuel. Do we have any questions in the meantime?
I've also just put another one on there, which is our mailing list, Stefania.
Yes.
So yeah, another way, I can email this link out as well if you need it. But basically, this is for work experience a really good way to look at opportunities as well. So we actually do a monthly mail out where we will send different opportunities that are going on, and it's a really great place to look to find work experience opportunities as well. So I would recommend to sign up to that, because then every month you're going to have something coming into your inbox that's going to give you different creative companies and different opportunity ideas.
Yeah, sounds very helpful. And thank you, Samuel. I really liked your step-by-step guide, and the fact that you recognize that many students feel nervous when contacting employers and giving very helpful tips. And thank you also for all the opportunities that you have advertised.
Awesome. Yeah, no, we're always happy
Great.
to help. And, for any students that watch this, I said, we're really, keen to assist as well. So, thank you thank you, Maya, for joining. I can see in the chat that, she's saying thanks. And yeah, I will email, I'll give Stefania the QR codes then, and then she can put them around, and you can follow from there. But yeah, I'm happy to answer, if there's any questions as well, I'm happy to obviously answer them as well now, if there's anything.
It seems it's all good. Thank you so much, Samuel, and take care.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Pleased to be here, and hopefully I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.